our last topic, we have seen about the types of matter. We know that matter is classified on the basis of physical state and chemical composition. On the basis of physical state and chemical composition, and on the basis of chemical composition, the matter are classified into two types. Which one? Pure and impure substances. Which one? Pure and impure substances. Then the pure substances further classified into three types. One other, that is the atoms, that is the element one. Compound. This is the purest form of this substance on the basis of chemical composition. We know that on the basis of physical state and chemical state, matter is classified. On the basis of physical state, matter is classified into three parts: solid, liquid and gases. Physical state. On the basis of chemical composition, pure and impure. Pure and, that is the homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture. Impure substances. Then purest form is the element, molecule and compound. Then what is my element? Element is the substance which is made up of only one kind of atom. You know that the smallest part of matter is the atom. Smallest tiny part of the matter is called as atom. And here the element is the purest form of substance which is made up of only one kind of atom. That is the one kind of atom. Then molecules. Molecules are the atoms which is bonded together. Molecules are the atoms where atoms are bonded together, representing a specific type of compound. Representing a specific type of, that is the atoms which is bonded together by various types of bond, just like covalent bond, just like ionic bond. Okay, these are the different types of bond, and these atoms are bonded together. These atoms are bonded together and represent a specific type of chemical compound. A specific type of chemical compound. That is the atoms are bonded together and represent a specific type of chemical compound. And we know that the compound, what is the compound? Compound is the substance which is made up of by joining two or more atoms, two or more elements in a proper proportion. Two or elements in a proper or specific proportion. That is, elements are joined with each other. That is, compounds are made up of two or more than two kind of atom with a proper proportion. That is, the proportion of this element in a given compound is very specific. We know that in water, we know that there are two hydrogen atoms are present. In water, there are two hydrogen and one oxygen are present. That is in S2. This is the very specific formula of the water. If we change the number of atoms in this compound, just like S2O2, that is the chemical composition of this matter is changes. Chemical composition of this matter is changed, and due to changing the chemical composition, what happens? The chemical reaction which is takes place with this compound is also changed. That is, changing the physical properties and chemical properties of the substances takes place. यानी कि यहाँ पे molecular formula बदल गया, तो उसके physical state भी बदल जाएंगे, just like density, refractive index, surface tension, melting point, boiling point. These are the physical properties of the substance. These are all physical properties of the substance is changed by due to changing the molecular formula of the compound. Okay. Then if we change the molecular formula of the compound by changing the number of atoms, what happens? The chemical reaction which takes place with this compound is also changes. Chemical reaction which takes place with these both compound is also changes by changing the molecular formula, so that these atoms are joined with each other with a proper proportion. With a proper proportion. We know that atoms are made up of small tiny particles. Atoms are made up of small tiny particles. That is, first is the matter. Matter is made up of small and tiny particles. Tiny particles called as atoms. Okay. And we know that these atoms are further classified into three parts. That is, atom is made up of three different types of particles. Atom is made up of three different types of particles. One is the proton, neutron, and electron. And we know that the proton carries positive charge, which is denoted by small p. Neutron is denoted by small n. And electron is denoted by small e. Okay. Then we know that proton carries positive charge. Neutron carries, it is chargeless particle. It does not have any charge. Okay. It is zero charge. It has zero charge. That means ऐसा लिखा तो zero charge. Okay. Then electron carries negative charge. These are the three different types of particle present in atom. Okay. We know that the proton. Then what is the atomic number? First of all, we are going to talk about the atomic number here. Okay. Then what is the atomic number? Atomic number is the number of proton. It is very good. The atomic number is the atomic number is the number of proton or electron. The number of electron and number of proton present in atom, in isolated atom, is called as atomic number. That is the amount of proton, the number of proton, or number of electron present in isolated atom. Why it is said to be the isolated atom? Suppose we take the sodium atom here. Okay. We know that sodium atom has atomic number 11 because there are number of proton is 11. Okay. There are number of positive charges 11 here. Okay. And electron also is equal to the number of proton. That is, number of electron is also same here. That is positive charge. Number of positive charge and number of negative charge is also same for isolated atom. If we consider when atom forms ion, in order to complete their octet, you know that the particular atom try to attain a stable electronic configuration, that is nearest noble gas element configuration. Okay. Now what is the nearest element to the sodium? Is neon, which carries atomic number 10. It has atomic number 10. So that sodium try to attain this electronic configuration. This noble gas, nearest noble gas electronic configuration. If he lost in electron, we know that electronic configuration 281. If this loss in electron, one electron from the outermost shell, नहीं हुआ तो आगे चल के हो जाएगा, ठीक है? If it is lost one electron, then it attain 280 electronic configuration. By loss of one electron means one negative charge. One electron means, that means sodium lost one electron here, so that one loss of one negative charge, one electron, so that it carries one positive charge. So that here the number of proton and number of electron is different here. Okay, here the number of proton is 11 and proton is 11. Number of electron is 11 here. Okay, number of electron 11. Number of proton here 11 and number of electron is here 10. So that here form ions. So that we talk about the isolated atom. Okay. जहाँ पे वहाँ पे कोई भी इलेक्ट्रॉन लॉस नहीं किया है, कोई भी इलेक्ट्रॉन गेन नहीं किया, तभी हम कहते हैं कि एटॉमिक नंबर इज द नंबर ऑफ प्रोटॉन और नंबर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन प्रेजेंट इन आइसोलेटेड एटम. is called as atomic number. Okay, and we know that this electron is revolve around the nucleus in a circular orbit. Electrons are revolving in a circular orbit, in a specific orbit. Okay, then after this atomic mass number, what is the atomic mass number? You know that the atomic mass number. Second is the atomic mass number. Then what do you mean by atomic mass number? Atomic mass number is the sum of number of proton and number of neutron present in center of atom is called as atomic mass number. Now this is the important thing here. In a chemical composition, we know that every atom is different from another atom on the basis of different in the number of electron and different in the number of proton. Okay, these are the basic particles which is different in different atoms, so that we have to classify them. In according to the periodic table. With the help of modern periodic table, these elements will be classified because their proton, neutron and electron number is different. And due to different in the number of electron, proton and neutron, they have different atomic masses. How? Because we know that the charge on the proton, okay, the weight of proton is generally 1.6724, okay, into 10 to the power minus 24 gram. This is the weight of proton. And the weight of यहाँ पे neutron here 1.6750 into 10 raised to power minus 24 gram. And electron is very smallest particle. It has the weight of this electron is negligible as compared to neutron and proton. It has 9.110 into 10 to the power minus 28 gram, and it is very negligible mass as compared to the proton and neutron. So that here we call this atomic mass number is the number of proton plus neutron. That is the sum of proton and neutron. Here we are not using an electron, but electron present in atom. Electron atom मध्ये असतो. Atom मध्ये कोण असतो? Proton, neutron and electron. But here the mass of electron is very negligible, so that while we are defining the atomic mass number, electron is not considered. Why? Because the atomic mass of electron is very negligible as compared to proton and neutron. Do you understand this one? Okay. Then we have to find out the different atomic masses of the elements. Okay. By using the molecular formula. Okay. It is not necessary to remember the atomic masses of any elements. Okay, some elements you have to remember them. Some elements atomic masses you have to remember. Just like here hydrogen is one. Okay, we know that in hydrogen there is a presence of only proton and electron. Neutron is absent. So that hydrogen is called as proton. Hydrogen is also called as proton. Why? Because there is absence of neutron. There is only presence of proton and electron. So that hydrogen is also called as proton. Then helium is 2. Lithium is 6.9. Okay. Then oxygen. Carbon 12. Oxygen 60. Sulfur 32. Copper 63.5. Chlorine 35.5. These are the some atomic mass number we have to remember them. Okay, calcium 40. These are the atomic masses, okay, of the compound. Then in atoms and molecules, okay, we find out the molecular formula of the compound. First of all, we have to find out the molecular formula of the compound. Then we have to find out the molecular masses of the compound. Just for example, S2SO4. Our first example is let us start with the water. Okay, simplest one. Water. We know that hydrogen. First of all, you have to remember the name of this compound. Okay, name of compound. Then we have to write down the number of atoms. That is the different types of atom. Different types of atom. For example, here water is taken. Here hydrogen and oxygen is present. Then you have to number of atoms. Number of atoms here. Here there are 2 hydrogen atoms. There are 2 atoms. Then you have to multiply with them. Here 2. Okay. Then oxygen is 1 here. So multiply with them 1 time. Okay. We know that atomic mass of oxygen is 16. So that 1 time here. Here 1 time. Okay. But ऐसा इसी का है 2 हाइड्रोजन है. इधर हाइड्रोजन है. There are 2 hydrogen atoms are present. So we have to multiply them for 2 times. Here only 1 oxygen is present. So that we take only atomic mass of 1 atom. Atomic mass of 1 atom. इतना समझ में आ गया. Then ये तो हो गया. ये आपको यहाँ पे लिखना होगा. That means 1 into 2 and 1 into 16 is equals to 2 is equals to 60. Then finally we get the molecular mass of the compound. Here we get the molecular mass of compound, given compound. Then what is the molecular mass of compound? It is 2 plus 60 is equals to 18. 18 is the molecular mass of the water molecule. Then carbon dioxide. How will you find out? You have to first count the number of atoms. Count the number of different atoms. Here carbon and oxygen. Okay. Then you have to multiply the number of atoms with the number 1 into 12 and here 2 into 16 which is equals to here 12 and here 32. Then 12 plus 32 is equals to 44 here. These are the basic terms. Then for H2SO4, करके देखो. You have to find out this. Okay, here first start with the hydrogen. First is the hydrogen. Then different atom is sulfur. Then oxygen. There are 3 different types of atom. There are 3 different types: hydrogen, sulfur, and oxygen. Hydrogen, sulfur, and oxygen. Okay, we know that number of hydrogen is 2 into 2 here. Okay, 2 into यहाँ पे 1 into 2 here. So यहाँ पे sulfur 1 into 32, oxygen 4 into 16. Then after this calculation we get value for 2 here. Hydrogen for sulfur is 32 and then 16 for the 64. कितना है 98 is the molecular mass of the sulfuric acid. Molecular mass of the sulfuric acid. These are the basic terms. Okay. Then we will find out the molecular mass of the compound. Here we will find out the molecular mass of the different compounds. Okay. Then after this, we already discussed that there are 5 different types of law. 5 different types of law which explain the composition, the ratio of element present in compound, which explain the number of elements or specific ratio of mass of that particular elements in the compound. Just like here, the first is the law of chemical, that is the law of conservation of mass. Conservation of, there are 5 different types of laws which explain the chemical composition, different chemical composition of the element. in a given compound. कोई भी कंपाउंड में कोई भी कंपोजिशन जो दिया होता है एलिमेंट का वो फिक्स रेशियो बाय मास रहेगा, फिक्स रेशियो बाय मास. द फर्स्ट पॉइंट we know that atoms are indivisible particles. First is the atoms are the small and tiny particles which are bonded together, and so that we form specific type of compound. Number second, atoms are indivisible particles. इसको हम ब्रेक नहीं कर सकते, बराबर है. So that atoms are indivisible particles, so that the atomic mass, that is the mass of compound, it is the law of conservation of mass. Mass neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can convert into one form to the another. That means atoms are indivisible particle, so that atoms, that is the mass of atom, mass neither be created and nor be destroyed by any physical means or chemical transformation. That means by any chemical reaction or by physical method we cannot generate the mass or destroy the mass of any compound. It only transfer from one form to the another. This is the third point here. It transfer, that is the mass of substance is transfer. It transfer from one form to the another. That is, it is transfer from one form to the another. This is the law of conservation of mass. First part is the atoms are small, tiny particles. Matter is made up of small, tiny particles called as atom. And atoms are very smallest, tiny particle which is bonded together to form specific type of compound, which is present by specific ratio by mass. Then second is the atoms are indivisible particle. It cannot be break. Okay. By any physical means or chemical transformation or chemical reaction, that it is only transferred from one form to the another. It cannot be generated or cannot be destroyed. It neither be created nor be destroyed by any physical method or by chemical reaction. इतना समझ में आ गया? This is the law of conservation of mass. That means, suppose we take an example here. In a conical flask, we take the solution of barium chloride. Which one? High percent solution of barium chloride. Okay. Then in a test tube, here the one test tube is tied with the help of rubber gauge. Okay. Here the one test tube is tied inside the conical flask. Okay. And this this test tube contains the solution, 5% solution of here the particular sodium sulfate here. Na2SO4. Then you have to weight them first. In a weighing box with the help of weighing box. Then on the basis of this particular number of atoms present in a given compound, suppose we get the in a gram, suppose, okay, 8 gram of this barium chloride and sodium sulfate solution. Okay. On the weighing box, the number is given 8 gram. Then after drop of this sodium sulfate into the barium chloride solution, हमने क्या कर दिया? इसको आप ऐड कर दिया. We have to mix the barium chloride and sodium sulfate. We mix the barium chloride and sodium sulfate. Okay. By adding this together, that is barium chloride and sodium sulfate, what happens? The chemical reaction is tested. First is the chemical reaction is tested. And after chemical reaction, what will be the product? Here, we have to write down first. Here the barium chloride reacts with sodium sulfate. Then what will be the product here? SO4 plus twice NaCl, twice NaCl. And after the chemical reaction, this is the double displacement reaction. It is called as, here the ions exchange. Ions are exchange of ion takes place two times exchange of ion are take place, so that it is called as double displacement reaction. It is called as double displacement reaction. And after this transformation of chemical reaction with the barium chloride with sodium sulfate, we get the barium sulfate and sodium chloride. Then the weight of the product is not changed here. That is the after chemical reaction also the weight of product is 8 gram. That means what happened? This one is the reactant side. This one is the reactant side. We know that on the tail side we write on the left hand side. This is the LHS. It is called as the LHS side. The reactants are written on right hand side. RHS. Products are written here. Okay. On left hand side reactants are written. On the tail side of the arrow and front side of the arrow, the products are written here. It is called as the chemical equation. It is called as the chemical equation. And we know that the weight of, that is the mass of reactant on the left hand side and mass of the product on the right hand side is same after chemical reaction. After that means it obeys the law of conservation of mass. That is the mass of the substance does not change here. Mass of the substance does not change here. It is the law of conservation of mass. Do you understand? Okay. Then after this law of conservation of mass, we are talking about the second law, that is the law of constant proportion. Which one? Law of constant proportion. That is the proportion of elements in a given compound is fixed. Proportion of elements in a given compound is fixed by ratio of mass. Then how? We know that here the hydrogen are present. That is in water. There are two hydrogens are present and one oxygen is present here. Okay. Then we know that the molecular mass here of the hydrogen is and molecular mass of the oxygen is here 16 and here 2:16 here. After simplification we get the 1:8 proportion. 1:8 proportion by mass. 1:8 proportion by mass of hydrogen and with oxygen. This is the proportion. This is the ratio. Okay. There is no effect of source here. We get the tap water here. We get the water from ocean. We get the water from rain. Okay. These are the various sources of water. Okay. We filtrate the water in laboratory also with the help of passing the hydrogen gas over the oxygen. We get the water molecules. That is there is no effect of source over the ratio of this mass. That means म्हणजे कुठलाही सोर्स असेल तर तुम्हाला वॉटर मध्ये कंपोजिशन कुठलं मिळणार 1:8च राहणार. आलं लक्षात? Then this is the ratio. Okay, suppose we have a 9 gram of water. Okay, that is the 9 gram of. Then we have to find out the weight of hydrogen and weight of oxygen present in given water molecules. In 9 gram of water molecule, हमको हाइड्रोजन कितना है और ऑक्सीजन कितना ही निकालना है. कितने? 9 gram of water. Okay, and we know that there is a ratio 1:8. So then add this one with each other. Then 9 divided by 9 is equals to 1 here. 9 divided by 9 equals to 1 here. Then we have to divide this with this formula. That is 1 into 1 here for this hydrogen one, and for oxygen 8:1 here. That means here 1 and here 8. Further which is equals to 1:8 here. 1:8 proportion by mass. Then second example here. Let us take the 44 gram of carbon dioxide. Then how will you find out this compound obey the law of constant proportion? हम constant proportion देख रहे हैं, हो गया. Then we know that first of all you have to calculate the ratio of mass between the carbon and oxygen. We know that What is the atomic mass of carbon here? 12. 12 is to 16. 12 is to 16 into 2 here. There are 2 oxygens are present. There are, समझ में आ रहा है ना? There are 2 oxygens are present here. Then 12 is to 32. 12 is to, then after simplification, we get the ratio 3 is to 8. Then we have to find out the number, amount of carbon and amount of oxygen in given compound. Here there are 44 grams are present carbon dioxide. Okay, the ratio is 3 is to 8, so that 11 here. By divided by 44 by 11 is equals to 4. Then 4 into 3 is to 8 into 4. Then what is the ratio? 12 is to 32. Suppose we take the 30 gram of carbon dioxide. Then you have to find out the ratio of this mass. You have to find out. If we have a 30 gram of carbon dioxide, then what will be the ratio? First of all, you have to remember there is no effect of source of this carbon dioxide. Okay, let us find out. कितना आएगा निकाल के दिखाओ. किती जण ऑनलाईन किती जण बंद पडला का? नाही, मला वाटलं आन्सर पाठवतील. कितना आ गया? 93. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल क्या करना है आपको? 30 ग्राम को आपको डिवाइड करना पड़ेगा 11 से. कितना आ गया? 11. कितना आएगा? 2 पॉइंट आएगा समथिंग. 22 8 2.8 2.72 चला 2.72 समथिंग येतं. नंतर सेकंड स्टेप. अब क्या करना है वो बताओ मुझे. इसको 2.70 को किससे मल्टीप्लाई करना है? नंबर ऑफ कार्बन. That is the ratio. That is 3 into 2.72. Then here 8 into 2.72. करके देखो कितना आएगा बताओ. यहाँ पे कितना है? 7.16. 7.16 here 21.76.
सर वहाँ पे 8.16 है. 8.16 है ना सर?
कहाँ पे?
ये 7.16 के बदले
8.16 is to 21.76 here. 21.76. It is the proportion of carbon and oxygen. Carbon and oxygen is given chemical compound. This is the proportion of carbon and oxygen in a 30 gram of carbon dioxide. In a 30 gram of carbon dioxide. Okay, this is the proportion. Then number next is the, ठीक है, आज के दिन इतना रखो, बाकी काम कल देखेंगे. ठीक है, बाकी काम कल देखेंगे.